Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something that's happening literally everywhere all the time, but most of us never really see it. We're talking about data processing.
Okay, so let's kick things off with something we can all relate to. Imagine a teacher collects a whole stack of test scores from their class. How do all those different numbers turn into a single final grade?
Right, so you've got these numbers, an 85, a 92, a 71. On their own, they're just jumbled facts, right? They don't mean a whole lot yet. That's what we call raw data.
So, how do you turn that mess of numbers into something that actually makes sense? You need a system, right? A way to bring some order to all that chaos. And yep, that system has a name: data processing. The best way to think about it, it's like a bridge. It takes all that raw, messy data on one side and turns it into something super useful, what we call information, on the other. And this brings us right back to our teacher, doesn't it? That whole stack of test scores, that's the data. Then they get processed, averaged out, maybe graded on a curve, and boom, you get the final report card. That's the information. It's the difference between a random list of numbers and an actual final grade. But, processing isn't just one magic button you press. It's actually a journey, a step-by-step path. So let's walk through the 5 main stages that take data from being totally raw to being ready to use. Okay, so the whole thing kicks off with collection. Basically, just gathering up the raw facts, like our teacher grabbing those tests. Then you've got input, which is just getting that data into a system, like typing the scores into a spreadsheet. And then comes the main event, processing. This is where the magic happens, where the computer starts crunching the numbers, finding the average, sorting the scores, all that good stuff. After that, we get our output. That's the useful result, the final report card. And last but not least, storage. You got to save that info somewhere, right? So the school has a permanent record of that grade. All right, so we know the journey, but did you know there are basically 2 ways to take it? Let's compare the old school by hand method with how we do things now, electronically. And this chart really lays it all out. Manual processing is, well, exactly what it sounds like. You're doing it all by hand with a pen and paper. And as you can imagine, it's slow, you're way more likely to make mistakes, and it really only works if you have a tiny amount of data. Electronic processing, though, that's the game changer. It uses computers. It's lightning fast, incredibly accurate, and it can handle just massive, and I mean massive amounts of data. And all of that really points to one obvious conclusion, doesn't it? In today's world, electronic data processing is pretty much the only way to go. Why? Well, because it's faster, it's way more accurate, and it's built to handle the huge amounts of data that our world runs on. Okay, so this might all sound a little techie, but I promise you, this isn't just some abstract thing for Silicon Valley. Data processing is happening all around us every single day in places you probably don't even think about. Just think about it for a second. Your school calculating final grades, that's data processing. Your bank managing millions of transactions every single day. You bet that's data processing. A hospital keeping all your medical records safe and organized? Yep, data processing. And literally any business out there tracking sales and figuring out if they're making a profit, that's the engine making it all work. So what's the big takeaway here? What's the point of it all? It's actually really simple. Data processing is what takes that complicated, messy data and turns it into clear, useful information. And that clarity, well, that helps all of us make smarter, faster decisions. So when you boil it all down, what we're really talking about is the power of a good process. It's this invisible engine that's constantly working behind the scenes, turning a bunch of meaningless facts into the knowledge that runs our schools, our banks, pretty much our entire world. So, I'm going to leave you with one final question to chew on. We've talked all about the power of getting this process right. But what happens when it goes wrong? What kind of chaos could unfold if data isn't processed properly? Something to think about, for sure.